Good afternoon. I'm Stephen Grant, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Holocaust Memorial Center. I would like to welcome Governor Rick Snyder and all of our distinguished guests to the ceremonial signing of House Bill 4493. And welcome to all of our speakers who are seated on the stage. They will introduce themselves shortly. We have one special guest on stage, Judith Manaker. Edith was part of the Kinder Transport. She represents all of the victims and the survivors of the Holocaust. The Holocaust Memorial Center was founded 32 years ago, and today is one of the high points in the history of our institution. The Holocaust Center was created to memorialize the millions of victims of the Holocaust, to honor its survivors, and to impart its lessons to future generations. We do this every day through education and a commitment to use the lessons of the Holocaust to prevent future genocides. Each year, over 65,000 people visit the center, including 35,000 students from 515 schools. They come from as far as the Upper Peninsula, Canada, Indiana, and Ohio. Not only do they tour the museum, but they also listen to a survivor's firsthand account of his or her experience during the Holocaust. Their experience is very profound. Education has always been a top priority of the HMC. For over 25 years, the center has hosted summer teacher conferences. This summer, they will continue with a 5-day advanced teacher seminar in partnership with the University of Michigan, Michigan State University, Eastern Michigan University, and Grand Valley State University. The director of our Institute of the Righteous, Guy Stern, taught lessons of the Holocaust and the Armenian Genocide to graduate students at Wayne State University. In 1996, the HMC sponsored the publication of The World Reacts to the Holocaust, published by the Johns Hopkins University Press. This compilation of essays from global scholars is one of the tens of thousands of volumes in our world-renowned library, which is directed by a Holocaust expert who came to the HMC from the Library of Congress. The HMC is more than a museum. It is a site of active scholarly learning. Bill 4493 states, and I quote, that the school districts or public school academies social studies curriculum for grades 8 to 12 includes age and grade appropriate instruction about genocide, including but not limited to the Holocaust and the Armenian Genocide. This is the average age group of students who visit the Holocaust Center, and this mandated statewide education ties in directly with our mission at the HMC. Before House Bill 4493, teachers had the discretion to teach or not to teach the lessons of the Holocaust and genocide. I am sure that many teachers took the opportunity. Now, though, this bill is a forceful reminder that they must teach the lessons of the Holocaust, Armenian Genocide, and other genocides. We hope that many will enhance this curriculum with a visit to the Holocaust Center, transforming classroom learning into a remarkable life experience. The bill refers specifically to the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews and 5 million others were murdered, and to the Armenian Genocide, where 1.5 million Armenians were murdered. Each year, we commemorate the Holocaust on Yom HaShoah. I had the opportunity to speak at the large gathering in this hall at this year's event. I commented that this year seemed different because of Jewish students feeling threatened on college campuses by anti-Israeli protests, the BDS movement, and because Jews are leaving Europe in record numbers and moving to Israel and elsewhere. These events teach us that we can never be complacent. We need to study and understand the events of the past. The Pope's recent visit to Armenia underscores this. Whether it is the Armenian Genocide, the Holocaust, or genocide elsewhere throughout history, we must never forget so that atrocities are never repeated. We hope that this bill will achieve our goal of never again. Education is a key element. We at the Holocaust Memorial Center stand ready to work to make Bill 4493 a success. Thank you.
My name is Judith Kovach, and I'm the project coordinator for Genocide and Holocaust Education Now. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the history of the bill. Lori Talsky had a dream. From her long association with the Holocaust Memorial Center, Zekelman Family Campus, She knew the importance of educating children about the Holocaust and other genocides if further atrocities are to be prevented. In 2014, Lori started on the road to making her dream a reality when she provided the leadership and resources to create Genocide and Holocaust Education Now, a coalition of individuals and organizations within the Jewish community committed to the passage of legislation requiring that Holocaust and genocide studies be taught to all Michigan students. To be certain that Michigan students were not already adequately learning about these crimes against humanity, Lori further commissioned a research study in which almost 500 Michigan high school graduates under 21 were questioned about their knowledge of the Holocaust and other genocides. Although almost all knew a few facts, it was evident that they lacked sufficient understanding and insight into how such events occurred. Without that insight, they would lose the opportunity to develop tolerance and understanding of differences. A second study of approximately 100 curriculum experts from a cross-section of Michigan school districts indicated their willingness to include genocide and Holocaust studies in the curriculum. Senate Bill 1075, requiring genocide and Holocaust education, was drafted and introduced by Senator Randy Richardville in 2014 and passed the Michigan Senate unanimously on December 4th, 2014. The bill had virtually unanimous support in the House, but unfortunately it was derailed by legislative technicalities. Fortunately, under the sponsorship of Representative Klint Kesto, House Bill 4493, virtually identical to Senate Bill 1075, was introduced on April 21st, 2015. In October 2015, Genocide and Holocaust Education Now welcomed the inclusion of the Armenian genocide, the only other genocide recognized by the state of Michigan, into the language of the bill. Our guiding principle, Tikkun Olam, literally meaning world repair, requires us to recognize and take action against all acts of inhumanity. The bill passed the House and Senate and was officially signed into law by Governor Snyder on June 13, 2016, making Lori Tolsky's dream a reality. And for all of us in this room, this ceremony symbolizes our collective commitment to teach our children and our children's children that exterminating whole populations is not an act of war. For all of us, passage of this bill reaffirms our definition of our humanity. Nothing can be more crucial to our children's identity than that message. And that is the history of the bill up until today's signing ceremony. But there is an unintended consequence of passing this law. The state publishes a pamphlet entitled The Legislative Process in Michigan, A Student's Guide, which states, and I quote, "Many ideas for bills come from interest groups. By organizing, these groups are able to assert their political power because they are more visible and have greater resources at their disposal, and they can be highly effective," end of quote. And in these times when young people are often skeptical about government, passing this law affirms that our democratic process works, that elected officials and policymakers listen and act, and that Governor Rick Snyder thought it important enough to be here with all of us today for this occasion, and that the dream of one person can make history. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for that history. I also want to thank the people for a wonderful opportunity to make a short tour, an abbreviated tour of this Memorial Center. It is truly heart-touching and does make a special imprint on one's life. So thank you for this wonderful place. Let me add a little bit to the history. I think I've got a few subtitles I could add to the history just given. This was one of those rare pieces of legislation that I actually wrote a letter with to explain why I was signing the bill. What I would say to you is typically when you get to specific subjects to be taught in a school, that's a local matter. That's not a matter that the be involved in. Our goal is to set standards, and then we actually believe in local independence to come up with specific curriculum. This is a rare exception to that. Because of the horrific nature, the importance of this topic, I believed it was important to speak up on this topic at the state level. And when you look at it, this is something that it's exciting to have this ceremonial event today. It's exciting to draw attention. But this is something that we're going to have to be vigilant on for the rest of our lives and for our children's lives. I'm a proud student of history. I love history. I read 50 to 100 books a year on many different topics. And in many cases, it's to read about the best of human nature. Why we're so fortunate to have wonderful moments in history and humanity that let us stand out. We also have to recognize there's evil out there. And we have the worst moments of history. And that's what this reflects. So as we're proud to have our children learn about history and learn about the best, such as the creation of America, so many other wonderful things we've done, there's an equal responsibility to make sure we don't overlook our failings and our failure points. So that's where I think it's critically important that we work hard on this. And I appreciate the groundswell of grassroots supports for this legislation. I'm going back to even a prior legislation. Now, I will give you one comment to the degree Senator Richardville did great work in the Senate, didn't get it done fast enough last time for the House to take it up. Actually, I have to apologize. The legislature went so fast this time, we didn't have a chance to have an official signing with me. This is the ceremonial sign. Because they took it seriously enough, we didn't have a chance to even arrange a great event until now. But what we need to keep in mind, I think, is to recognize the Holocaust, the Armenian genocide, other horrific events. But really, what were the precursor events that led to them happening? And those are the things, those are the times we need to be vigilant of, even more so, and speak up earlier and stronger. Everything from the local bully that starts bullying one person that someday can be the bully that leads to the death of millions, to other disagreements, whether it be racial, ethnic, or whatever circumstance. We live in a country of too much anger today. And we need to continue to work hard on how to have less anger and more understanding. And more understanding that tolerance is important. But let's be tolerant of our differences and not tolerant of the evil. So I view this as a good opportunity to stand up and say, we're making a statement about how we can be a better people. We can be together and say, let's prevent this from happening in the future. Let's make sure it's something in the history books. Or have great places like this, where it's not just about reading a book, but bring it to a much more living level by hearing the voices of people, by seeing the experiences they went through. And that's where you should be so proud to have this Memorial Center. So I'm proud to be part of this process. But I also want to say thank you to all of you that did far more work to make this happen than I did. Your passion, your dedication to making genocide an important topic for us to address is truly something we say thank you to you. And we won't let you down. Let's work hard to continue this process. Thank you so much. And with that, let me introduce Representative Klint Kesto.
Thank you and good afternoon. In 2012, when I first ran office, there was a diverse group. Men, women, old, young. I was Chaldean or Jewish and otherwise. But there's one thing that when we ran against each other, we said, whoever wins, we're all going to work together to make the world a better place, to make Michigan better. And when I introduced this bill, thank you for assisting with it, Lauren. The Jewish community contacted me, and the Chaldean community contacted me, and the Armenian community contacted me, and others. And it was about working together, all of us working together. And it's about working together to stop evil and to stop hate. This bill is about future generations working together to identify the evil and the hate in the world by learning about past genocides, learning about the Holocaust, learning about the Armenian genocide and others, in order to prevent genocides that we have even today in 2016, like what is happening in the Middle East, with radical Islamic terrorists like ISIS, targeting the Christians and the Chaldeans and other religious minorities. And we want this bill to work so that we can all work together to prevent that in advance and to stop it when we see it. And I'd like to thank and acknowledge the work of the Armenian Genocide Committee, led by Ed Haroutunian, who's here, who worked so hard in support of this legislation. I'd also like to thank the Armenian National Committee, led by Laura Nersessian. They've been strong advocates for the Armenian American community here in Michigan. And I'd like to thank the Zekelmans and Lori Tulsky for all of your hard work, and those involved in genocide and Holocaust education now, and all those who have pushed this initiative on behalf of all Holocaust survivors, all genocide survivors, and those that we lost, so that we never forget them. I want to thank my colleagues in the legislature again. Senator Richardville worked on this last year, it was quick, and then Senator Pavlov in the Senate and the Senate Education Community helped shepherd this through the Senate. We also have from the board of the National Holocaust Museum, Mickey Shapiro, and I hope that our next step is to have Congress in Washington enact similar legislation, so that when we say never again, we mean never again, never again. Thank you. I'd like to invite.
Thank you. Governor Snyder, members of the clergy, members of the legislature who are here, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ed Haroutunian, and as the chair of the Armenian Genocide Education Committee, I want to thank the Holocaust Memorial Center for hosting this ceremony here today. On behalf of the entire Armenian community, including all of our Armenian religious, cultural, political, social, and business organizations, I want to thank Governor Rick Snyder for signing House Bill 4493 into law, and to also thank the representatives and senators who made passage of the bill a success. Many thanks are due to Representative Klint Kesto, the main sponsor of the legislation, who shepherded the bill through the House so well. We want to thank Speaker Cotter for all of his efforts, and Representative Amanda Price, chair of the House Education Committee. And in the Senate, Representative Kesto was still hard at work, but we want to thank Majority Leader Meekhoff and Senate Floor Leader Mike Kowal, whose advice and direction were invaluable. Senator Phil Pavlov, chair of the Senate Education Committee, was extremely helpful in moving the bill through the committee. And Senator Marty Nolenberg, who has always advocated for just causes, was extremely helpful in addressing issues that arose. And we want to also thank Senator Patrick Kovach and Senator David Knisik, both members of the Senate Education Committee. Obviously, there were many others who helped, but I wanted to name these legislators in particular. Although challenges were presented, both in the House and the Senate, the representatives and senators saw through the distractions and focused on the end result, the education of high school students in the state of Michigan with respect to the Holocaust, the Armenian genocide, and other genocides. This legislative endeavor ultimately resulted in the Jewish community and the Armenian community working together for a common purpose, and was similar to what had occurred about 14 years ago when legislation recognizing the Holocaust in Michigan and legislation recognizing the Armenian genocide in Michigan moved in tandem through the Michigan legislature, with both pieces of legislation becoming law when then Governor John Engler signed them in 2002. I received an email over the weekend from former Ambassador Ron Weiser indicating that what was accomplished by the passage of House Bill 4493 and its signing by Governor Snyder into law was a group effort that resulted in an outcome that was long overdue. And Ambassador Weiser hoped that the passage of the bill would serve as an inspiration for other states of our country to follow suit. As Pope Francis said 2 days ago, memory should never be watered down or forgotten. Memory is the source of peace and the future. The Armenian genocide is considered the first modern genocide in the way it was systematically planned and implemented, and it acted as the precursor to the Holocaust. Because the perpetrators were not punished and no restitution was made to the victims, Adolf Hitler saw it as a valid precedent and in effect provided permission for his plan to wipe out the Jews of Europe. In a speech before invading Poland in 1939, Hitler spoke proudly of his intention to kill mercilessly, saying, "Who, after all, speaks today of the annihilation of the Armenians?" I like to think that the Holocaust and the Armenian genocide victims would approve of this legislation to allow Michigan high school students to learn of these past atrocities in an effort to prevent them from recurring in the future. So, Governor Snyder, thank you very much for signing the bill into law. We look forward to working with you in the implementation of the law. And at this point, I want to invite Governor Snyder to join along with myself and others in the ceremonial signing on the House Bill 4493. And at this point, I am advised that organized chaos will take place as certain things are moved around.
Where's the organized part of the chaos?
This is truly a day that we will all remember. I'm Cheryl Guyer, the Interim Director of the Holocaust Memorial Center, and we would like to thank our Governor Rick Snyder, our distinguished guests, which is every person in this room, the members of the Genocide and Holocaust Education Now Committee, our legislators, and every other person here for bringing us to this very special day. And a warm and wonderful thank you to Alan Zekelman and Lori Zekelman. I'd like to applaud them. Their extraordinary vision and their unwavering support has brought us to this milestone. Our future may very well depend upon how we teach the next generation. The dream of never again is honored through the passage of House Bill 4493. We are grateful that all of Michigan's students in grades 8 through 12 will now be able to learn about the Holocaust and genocides. And together with every person in this room and their determination, we will inspire new generations to confront bullying, hatred, and racism, and to become positive voices to create a more humane world. And I applaud all of you. Thank you. We would like to invite all of you to visit our museum, to walk through our museum if you've never had a time to spend in the exhibits and to see the treasure that is here. We have docents standing in certain stations to answer your questions and to talk to you about the various exhibits. There's a reception for all of us in the hallway, and we hope you will join us at that to celebrate this important day. And finally, a few of you have received a little card about a photo, and we're going to be taking some ceremonial photos up here for you. Thank you for being with us. It's truly an honor and a privilege. Also, there are copies of the bill, but if anybody would like one to study it after you leave. Thank you again.
We'll have the legislators stay up. We're going to do a photo with the legislators.
Does that count?
You want to do that?
Take it in front of you.
Do a photo with our legislators? Yeah.
Don't move here.
Okay, we about done? Sandy, can we do it next? Sandy,
Sandy?
Okay, next.
Hey, one more.
Okay, so